Welcome to Casual Watch Talk, the podcast from the Casual Watch Reviewer YouTube channel. Join us as we talk everything watches, from watch collecting, the latest horology news and interviews. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe on your favourite podcast app. Let's dive into the show. Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 40 of Casual Watch Talk. Well, for our 40th episode, we've got a very special guest joining us. We have FX, who is the president of Americas for Ulysse Nardin. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks a lot for inviting me today. I'm very happy to be with you and to speak with your audience as well.
It's such a fascinating company, Ulysse Nardin, founded in 1846, and it's created, I think, probably some of the most interesting complications in watches, certainly in recent years. The freak watch, which is very famous, where the hands of the watch are the actual movement, those perpetual calendars that go forwards as well as backwards, Guinness Book of World Records for complexity in watchmaking, which was absolutely fascinating, and of course, the new take on the watch rotor, which allows you to wind a watch in any direction instead of clockwise and counterclockwise in the grinder system. So it's a fascinating company.
Thank you for saying that. It's true, and you nailed it because you start with the innovation. I see a lot of people when they hear about Ulysse Nardin, they know about our marine heritage, they know about the marine collection, and we are very well known. I'm in Miami right now, so all the community around, especially the yacht owners, know about Ulysse Nardin. So it's interesting that you go directly into who we are. In fact, we are one of the most innovative manufacturers, and R&D, research and development, is really driving our creativity at Ulysse Nardin. So thank you for coming to the beautiful tourbillon and the freak and the Guinness records. It's true.
Ulysse Nardin, it falls into a genre of watches that I haven't really typically reviewed on the channel before in terms of yachting and boating watches. Now, I know a few other watch companies dabble in this. So we obviously have Rolex with its Yachtmaster, and Omega has its regatta watch, its Skywalker regatta watch. In your watch company, it's really baked into the DNA, isn't it, of the company?
It's not only about it, but it's true that we see the sea as our territory in a way. And it comes back to Ulysse Nardin and its very first years. When Mr. Ulysse Nardin opened his workshop in Switzerland, he was obsessed by accuracy. So his son understood that the fact that Ulysse Nardin is so accurate, and all the innovation with alloy, combined with the needs in the market of marine chronometers, all of this could be a core business for Ulysse Nardin. You are back here in the 1880s, where sailing, marine transportation is at its peak. So Ulysse Nardin entered into the marine chronometers market, took over this market, and in the 1900s, we are supplying more than 50 admiralties all over the world. So yes, we have this very strong marine DNA. We even started to supply the US Navy in 1905 under Theodore Roosevelt's government. So yes, we see ourselves as coming from the sea. Having said that, all our creativity, and I'm thinking about the Blast, new watch we have launched, or the Skeleton, of course, or the Freak, you have this new direction, which is really like the innovation, research, development, and design. So in a way, and to summarize, we are a classical Swiss watchmaker with a DNA to marine chronometers, a tool for navigation. At the same time, we are some kind of a disruptive, innovative manufacturer, bringing some crazy designs and crazy innovations. And we are both at the same time. It's our duality, if you want.
So you took over the helm of the Americas in 2018, was it?
Correct. February,
and you
yes.
were previously at LVMH. So I'm fascinated to know how you got into watches originally.
Oh, in fact, before that, some years ago, I was recruited by Patrick Prognaud and Jean-Christophe Babin, who is now at the helm of Bulgari. I was recruited in Russia. I was living in Moscow, and I was recruited to open the subsidiary for Tag Heuer. So I had the immense pleasure to work for Tag Heuer. It's a beautiful brand. I like their DNA, especially with timekeeping. I had the pleasure also to meet with Jack Hoyer, who visited us and my team in Russia. So I've been into watches thanks to Tag Heuer. Then I moved to Christian Dior Perfume Cosmetics, which is this giant business inside the LVMH group. But when Patrick Pruniot, our CEO, left Apple Watch, joined Kering to take over Ulysse Nardin, after 2 days, took over the company, gave me a phone call and told me, okay, do you want to join Ulysse Nardin? And I said, yes, let's do it, And then I moved from Paris, from Dior HQ to Miami, where our offices are located.
So you mentioned Apple Watch there. I actually had a question about that, which is, I know sort of around the early 80s, Ulysse Nardin really gained a new lease of life after the quartz crisis. And was really interested to get your take on how you think about smartwatches now, certainly currently and over the next sort of 10 or 20 years. Do you think they're going to overtake traditional watchmaking? Or
we can come back to Ulysse Nardin's story. In the 80s, Ulysse Nardin was kind of not in a great shape because of the quartz crisis, we call it when you are in Switzerland. And Rolf Schneider, an entrepreneur, took over Ulysse Nardin, and he made, again, Ulysse Nardin being an incredible company, totally based on innovation. He was the one who brought the Frick and the silicium used in watchmaking today. So when you had the crisis of the quartz, Ulysse Nardin was seen as extremely revolutionary and innovative. Having said that, we are continuing this way, I believe. And yes, people love the Apple Watch. Yes, you have plenty of other brands. I love Garmin personally. As a tool, it's incredible. If you dive or if you do some hiking, it's an incredible watch. But I see it as complementary to a classical watch. I don't believe that the fact that you have these beautiful objects will completely kill watchmaking. I don't believe in it because I believe that the values you have in this object I have here, I've got a chronograph, are different values than an Apple Watch, and also a different purpose. I don't wear a watch because I want to know my heartbeat. I wear a watch for other reasons. So I think that both of them can live together. And I start to see, you're on the West Coast, you guys are more even high-tech than probably on the East Coast, but I see more and more of my friends who love beautiful objects, beautiful watches, I see more and more of these guys having an Apple Watch on the side. And everybody dreams to have on top of your watch something smaller than an Apple Watch or a Garmin, but that can give you this information on your phone, for example. So I think there is a next step, a next evolution to the smartwatch that allows you to still keep on your wrist a masterpiece.
They certainly, smartwatches have their place. Certainly one of the most interesting watches I personally think is the Freak watch. The Freak, it seems so contemporary, but it's almost coming into its 20th year now.
That's a good question. The Freak is kind of, it carries well its name. The Freak is just a freak. And freak means that, I love this meaning, it comes from the 19th century. I love the idea that the freak is something you fear.
Yes.
But when you understand it, you love it. Think about Dracula, think about Dr. Frankenstein's creature. They are pictures of monsters. And when you start to understand them, you understand there is a love story behind. The Freak is the same. So when the Freak appeared in 2001, it was a Freak watch. It has no crown, no hands, no case. The Freak carries probably the largest number of patents in a movement. The full movement is pivoting on its own axis. Everything is like revolutionary. So the Freak is a revolution. It's an alien for the watchmaking. It also demonstrates that even if the watchmaking industry is centuries old, on the very small size of a watch, you can bring revolutions. You can bring patents. And these patents can be used elsewhere than in a watch. The Freak is also the first watch to use silicium, making your watch more accurate, more reliable, anti-magnetic. So the Freak is kind of a laboratory on the wrist. And from the Freak, you can extract some innovations that you can use in other watches, like from a laboratory creating patents. So that's what I love with the Freak. And the Freak has a second life right now because the watch is so complicated. that is also an expensive piece. The Freak Vision today with the grinder, which is an automatic system on blades. The Freak grinder today, the Freak Vision is $96,000. So what happened with Ulysse Nardin is that we have launched last year a new Freak. We call it the Freak X. And this Freak X is bringing a lot of new attention to Ulysse Nardin, and also is bringing new customers to Ulysse Nardin. Because the Freak has been always a very, very niche watch for very wealthy collectors. And every collector I know, we see at the dinners we organize, they all have a Freak in their collection. But when you're 25, 30-year-old, can you really buy a $100,000 laboratory on your wrist? Maybe not. So the new Freak X between $20,000 and $30,000 is bringing the idea of the Freak, the design of the Freak, but with an hybrid UN 118 in-house movement, of course. And these two movements together, this hybrid, allowed us to make an entry price Freak, let's say. And this new Freak is bringing new customers. So what I love with this idea of the new Freak is that, yes, it's a masterpiece, it's an alien, it's a laboratory on the wrist for real big collectors. But the new UN customer, the members of our club now, are 30-year-old guys that want a manufactured, amazing, legendary piece they can afford and they can also wear every day without the fear of having something like more expensive than the fancy car on your wrist, you know.
I think I forgot where I was reading it, but the grinder system, the new rotor system, that they were saying that has applications even beyond watches themselves by the nature of how it's built.
Completely. The grinder system is a weight. It's a balancing between blades. There is a lot of mathematics and calculations behind. You really have to be an engineer just to explain how it works. But long story short, every very small lateral movement will create energy. So instead of having the usual rotor turning around, you know, every time you move your wrist, a very, very slight movement is creating energy through this lateral gesture. And it's adding a lot of energy to a watch, which is, the Freak, it's a huge spiral inside the case that you turn by hand, by turning, there is no case, but turning this case, let's say, kind of bezel. There is no word to speak about the Freak. And the combination of the grinder and your own manual movement can give you, I think we are more than 5 days power reserve.
Wow. So you mentioned the Freak being a laboratory on the wrist. So a lot of the innovations that come from that Freak, like the grinder system, does that then ultimately make it into other models as well?
That's possible, yes. When we launched the innovation, Innovision, it has 10 patents on it, and we extract innovations from our concept watches to go into new watches. So what's interesting is that a little bit like the car industry, when they have a concept car, they will show you this completely insane concept car, impossible to buy, full of innovations. And then you know that in the next 10 years, you will see these innovations in the car you can afford. And this is what's happening with the Freak. You have the Innovision, and then the Freak Vision, then we have a Freak X. And yes, the story will go on with more innovations.
Not only is it an innovative product, but you stand behind everything with the 5-year warranties on your watches as well.
Yes, because we have our own system of control inside the company, and we have our own system of certification, which is more accurate than the COSC. And also, it's tested not in a perfect laboratory flat movement. It's flat and not moving. We test everything with different type of temperature by the movement. So we have a level of accuracy, which is pretty good. The fact that we use silicium makes the watch very, I would say, reliable, because you don't have the effect of oil. You don't have also the effect of magnetism. So we trust really our products, the quality of them, and we offer a 5-year warranty.
I know people will be interested to know that all of the movements are in-house.
Yes, they go through a torture chamber, and they are not going out of the manufacturer if they didn't pass all these tests. And when we receive them, it's just internal information, but when we receive the watches in my workshop in Florida, they are tested again.
Wow.
Just to make sure that there is no effect of transportation, shock, anything else like that could affect the watch. So the watches are tested post-production, are tested by the quality department for certification in Switzerland, and they are tested again when they arrive in Florida. And then after they go to the stores. I know we have a very, I would say, kind of low servicing of the PCs. And I think once again, Silicium is explaining that.
Pertinent question for the times that we're currently in. I know during 2020, the world has experienced once in a generation effects on social, health and economic stability. The watch industry itself has echoed some parts of this roller coaster. I know sales on pre-owned watches have skyrocketed, but some of the big brands have been badly affected, I think, and especially ones that I feel largely ignored online presence that they had. But it's also interesting to see that some luxury brands like Rolex and Richard Mille perform very well. So I was just wondering how have you seen the market change this year?
Oh, it's a lot of questions in one question. No, the market is changing for sure. And I would say the watch industry is pretty affected. You have seen with this COVID crisis, the stores were closed for a while, worldwide, completely closed. And of course, it has affected our sales. And it must give some more room probably for the certified pre-owned market online, which has been very active, and especially in the USA. If you consider the online sales in Europe, mostly it's online sales made by retailers of new PCs. The share of certified pre-owned is very small. In the USA, it's a huge pre-owned and it's a huge online market with a lot of discounting, by the way. So it's not taboo to say there is a lot of discounting online in the USA. Yes, so there is this kind of competition, if you want, for the brands. Having said that, I think it's our duty, for Ulysse Nardin as a brand, to have the best retailers and the best partners offering the best service and the best experience. And what Ulysse Nardin is doing is really reconfiguring or streamlining its distribution in the USA to work with the very best. And what we are doing as a company in terms of marketing, in terms of events, is to bring people who love watches to the very best stores. And when you want to buy an expensive product, an expensive watch, you want to be sure that you buy it at the right place. You want to be sure it's new. You want to be sure it has not been pre-owned or stolen or whatever else. You want to be careful because it's an expensive object. You want to benefit from the 5-year warranty as well. And we'll take care of you. And that's why we really want our partners to perform, and everything we do, including talking to you, Sam, today, is to make sure that people understand that the best place to experience watchmaking, especially, I would say, complicated timepieces like Ulysse Nardin, is to go to an authorized retailer. And if you go to our website, you will find this map of the USA, and you will find every authorized retailer we work with the most official way.
It's a fantastic website and online presence you've got there, because it has every detail about the watch, including the price as well, which I think is fascinating. Certainly puts some of the other brands to shame, I think, and the photography is fantastic.
Yeah, so the website is really here to help our fan club understanding not only the product, but also the culture of the company. We are not only a manufacturer with product first. We are a little world, you know. When you see our customers, when you meet customers at events that we organize, they are never customers buying a UN as a first watch or a first serious watch. Usually they have the brands you named, they have them. They buy UN as part of, okay, I've got 3 or 4 beautiful timepieces. What is the next one? Sometimes, like with the Freak X, they enter into UN because they want to manufacture innovative, I would say disruptive brand, something new, something they don't have already, not a 3 hands classical watch. So they come to UN. So yes, we want to treat them well. And the website is giving a lot of information on partnerships we have, on what we do, what's the culture of the company. It's a small universe, you know.
The other thing I find fascinating as well about the brand is you have a lot of other brands who obviously sponsor events and things like that, but you have a real charitable focus, certainly here in the US. And I know there's certain charities that you yourself are personally involved with, so not in the company, but you yourself. So I was interested in finding out more about that that charity supporting side of the company and why it's so important.
Oh, Sam, I'll speak for an hour or something from now. No, yeah, I mean, this is pretty incredible. So the first thing is that I truly believe that when you are an entrepreneur, when you generate money, and when your name, like Ulysse Nardin, can drive some interest, can drive some wealthy people and collectors to a good cause, you have to use basically, I would say, your awareness or your money somehow, you know? So I believe in that. The good thing is that my management, the group I am working with, we all agree on that. Having said that, we have two big partnerships in the USA. One is with One More Wave and one with OSearch. So One More Wave is a nonprofit based in San Diego. It has been created by US Navy SEALs. They realized that these guys, they are in special ops all the time. They lost their friends. Some of them, you know, are badly disabled or PTSD. So it's a community which is suffering because of war. And these guys in San Diego, they are surfing a lot. You know that your office is in San Diego.
Yes.
So it's a big thing to go surfing. And in Coronado, where the Navy SEALs are based, it's really what they do when they are not training. And these guys have created a non-profit designing and building surfboards tailor-made to the disabilities of the veterans. We even have a triple amputee surfing and competing right now. So this is fascinating. So at Ulysse Nardin, the story started with my team. I wanted to have like a social responsibility program to motivate the team. So we started to finance them. So they took me surfing in San Diego. And then I was on the beach with these guys, and I was like blown away by the resilience, how strong they are, what they have to fight with, the fact that, I mean, they are still alive, you know, and they take the waves as a therapy. I was like blown away. And then with Kyle Bucket, now my friend, who is CEO, let's say, of One More Wave, we said, oh, let's do something bigger, stronger. And then we started to partner. We have an amazing watch, a deep dive, that they co-designed in San Diego. We co-designed the watch with the SEALs. And this watch is helping us to basically raise money for them. So it's an amazing story. And we also see that you were talking about our marine heritage. I see these guys as some heroes from the sea, you know, yeah. Navy SEALs. So it was a way for Ulysse Nardin to do some social responsibility, and it became like an amazing journey we have with them. The other mission we have as a team, and it's the same idea. I mean, the sea is our territory, Sam, even if we do watches. We have a strong connection with the sea, and the other nonprofit we partner with, OSearch, their mission is the abundance of the marine ecosystem, and they work mostly with great white sharks. So we are partnering with them. I had the great honor of naming a great white shark, and I was with them in Massachusetts, near Cape Cod, when we captured a beautiful young female shark. I named her Andromache. Andromache, she is coming from the Greek mythology, from Iliad, the Iliad, Homer's the Iliad. And she's a symbol of maternity, of strength, of courage. So here again, you find the values of Ulysse Nardin. We want to support beautiful causes. It's a very strong motivation for the team to do that. And you are right, it's not about sponsoring. And we post some pictures. My team is on it. Yes, we surf with One More Wave. We know their members. We know who the surfboard goes to. With OSearch, yes, we partner with them, but we are also part of the mission. I spent myself some days, like 10 days, on the boat this summer, basically capturing great white sharks and helping the scientists to work on the animals. And each of these animals after is released safely. So everything makes total sense for Ulysse Nardin.
I presume when they're researching the sharks, are they adding like tags to them, like GPS tags? Are you able to see the progression of where your shark is, or?
Exactly, yes. If you go on, talking about Apple, if you go on your iPhone, you find this app called Shark Tracker. Shark Tracker is a search app, and you can follow the sharks. And you can also follow Andromaque. I invite you also to go on Twitter and follow Andromaque the shark. And yes, you can follow the shark. So the tagging is helping the scientists to understand their migration. It's also helpful to understand the nurseries, so where the shark will reproduce. And you want to protect the areas where shark reproduce, because sharks need at least 20 years to be able to reproduce. So they are in danger of side fishing. But the tags are really giving a lot more information that we don't see as users of Shark Tracker, temperature of the sea, how deep they navigate. And it brings a lot of other information for scientists, for more, like I would say, scientific research than only geolocalizing the animals.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I know certainly we hear a lot of stories about sharks around here sort of coming more inland, but that's more of a sort of a temperature on what's happening in the sea that they would even come this far into land. So yeah, it's a fascinating charity. Well, I suppose we should turn it back around to watches, but that was fascinating, so thank you for that. One of the questions I had, which I find fascinating about the brand, is you're commonly known for some of the amazing like horology pieces that you create. You even have a watch that once retailed for over $1 million. But one thing that I hadn't realized before is you have watches that cover almost the entire price range. You could get into a Ulysse Nardin watch for less than $6,000.
Yes, we start with a diver, 42 millimeter, for $5,900. So that's correct.
So how important is that to the brand that you cater for all of the sectors of watch collecting?
I would say the soft point actually is Nardin is between $20,000 and $30,000. I would say. It's interesting because in the USA, our best sellers in value are the two last collections we launched, the Executive X, a skeleton watch, and the Freak X. Both of them are between $17,000 and to $30,000. So this is really where the heart of Ulysse Nardin is. Having said that, the diver collection is in the $20,000, depending if you buy it in gold. After you have our tourbillon, which are at a pretty good price, between $30,000 and I would say $80,000. And then you have what we call the aerology, when you really have the Freak Vision, the Free Wheel, and you have some more complicated pieces like the Mega Yacht. And here you go between $90,000 to $300,000. And sometimes we have a crazy sale. It could be $1 million sale, because as a manufacturer, we can tailor-made the watch. We can engrave the watch. We control everything in-house. So whatever crazy dream you have, Sam, we can make it. So, and I think it's not a matter of pricing. It's a matter of what is the offer. Today, with the Marine collection, also in the $15,000, with the Marine collection and the diving collection, of course, we have plenty of other brands below us in terms of pricing, but we are manufacturer, silicium, and everything about Ulysse Nardin, which makes the brand very unique. Every watch lover with a budget of, I would say, $8,000-$10,000 can access to the UN Club.
Yeah, it's amazing that you can get that kind of horology piece for, as you mentioned. I think I was reading that the tourbillon at $30,000 is arguably one of the best value tourbillons that you can buy, quality versus the price.
And I invite you someday, if you're in Switzerland, and this is the case with all of our customers, you can always show up at the manufacturer and visit the manufacturer, and you will see how we do everything in-house. So it's pretty fascinating. And coming to the price, I hear sometimes when I visit some partners, when I meet some collectors, who love to tell me about the price of their watch, which is not always an interesting conversation. It's really about the watch and the story of the watch, or the movement in the watch. It's not about the price of the watch. So, but let's say we have the conversation about the price of a watch. People have to understand we are controlling everything in-house. When we do a tourbillon, we do it in-house. So we choose also the price at which we want to sell our tourbillon. And I can tell you, especially after I've been working like out of the watch industry, I just came back 2 years ago. And I'm very surprised sometimes to see some completely fancy prices. I'm not even sure there is a logic behind in terms of research or in terms of production cost. And then you have some prices which are insane. I think at Ulysse Nardin, maybe it's coming from the previous management and this industrial manufacture mentality over marketing mentality, if you want. I think at Ulysse Nardin, we are saying we control the pricing. We must have a fair price policy for our customers. We decide that by doing in-house a tourbillon, the fact that we don't engrave, for example, the tourbillon, we won't put some hard work on the tourbillon. Okay, we decide the watch could be at 30K. And I think it's a fair price. Of course, we could try to sell it at 50 and let's see. But we don't want to do that. We want to put a fair price to everything we do.
It's a refreshing perspective. I agree. There's been certain, arguably, bubbles created on certain brands at the moment where the price doesn't seem to reflect. It's based on demand or a sort of perceived shortage of those models. As we've been talking about the newer models, I believe you've got 2 out now, that both the Blast and the Dual Time that are new for. Are they new for this year, or is it new versions of existing product lines?
Oh, they are brand new. So it's 2 different stories. The Blast is a brand new watch. We launched it on the 26th of August, to be precise. So it's very, very new. Just coming right now to the stores, and it's already an incredible success. Explaining also our great success in September worldwide. The reception of this watch is incredible. So to start about the Blast, so it's a very new watch. It's a timepiece of cutting-edge design and technology. It's equipped also with a totally new manufacture, open work movement. It's a watch with a micro rotor at 12, made with platinum. So the weight of the platinum will give you the power and the energy that you create with a big rotor that you have in a classical watch. We also have an automatic tourbillon with our proprietary silicium technology, and it's a flying tourbillon. So it's beautiful to see also. What I love also to explain with this, with the Blast, simplicity is complexity in our new society. And when I look at an iPhone, I look at a Tesla, at a SpaceX, you don't have all these fancy buttons we used to have some decades ago. I think there is the idea that if you can make something simple, plain and beautiful, there is some complexity in it. So it's interesting fact, Sam, the Blast has only 137 components and 25 jewels, only 137 components. And you have a tourbillon, and it's silicium, and you have a micro rotor, and it's automatic. Only 137 components. If you compare to the watch I have, a typical chronograph will be over 250. So there has been a lot of research, a lot of work by the team in Switzerland to have kind of less components, and then it gives also more visibility. It's a skeleton watch, so by definition, you don't want to have a bulky movement moving all over the place. You want to see through. So you really have a beautiful design. And to finish with this piece, I invite your auditors to have a look to our website, because it's really an incredible design, kind of inspired by stealth airplanes, with a lot of angles, a lot of 3D effects. It's just beautiful object. It's just gorgeous. So the reception from collectors, from the market is really incredible. Every pieces we received in September has been already sold out. So it's just a piece we are delivering right now. So we are very happy about it. And once again, like after the success of the Freak X and the Skeleton X, we see that Ulysse Nardin can't be a brand with an overproduction and too many models. We are, on the contrary, really simplifying Ulysse Nardin. We are kind of phasing out many watches to really come back to the core of what Ulysse Nardin is, divers and marine, because of our DNA, or thanks to our DNA, I would say, and the executive collection and the Freak collection because this is showing the future of Ulysse Nardin. So the blast is one example.
And the other new timepiece you have is the dual time. Is
Yes.
that again new for this year?
The dual time is not a new watch. I don't remember exactly when it has been launched, but I know that Ulysse Nardin has sold for all the years 20,000 pieces worldwide. For Ulysse Nardin, it's huge. So it has been always a huge success for Ulysse Nardin. I'm very happy to see that Jeff Bezos, the wealthiest man maybe on Earth, or I think on Earth, in the US for sure, wears a dual time. So you may see a few pictures of him with this watch. He has an old dual time. So the dual time is a very interesting watch because with only the push of a button, plus or minus, on the left side of the watch, you just change time. So basically you have the time you set for Miami time, and I fly to LA and I land in LA and I push 3 times on the left side of the watch on the button minus, and the other information of the watch will give me the dual time. So I've got my time home, east, and time Pacific. So basically, it's faster than a smartwatch. We have a mechanical smartwatch, and it's called the dual time. We are launching it, in fact, right now, as the first watches arrived at the beginning of September in the USA, and we are delivering the first watches right now, end of September and beginning of October, to our selected partners.
And you mentioned the executive line before, the skeletonized watch, but it's really, I think of it almost beyond skeletonized, because it's almost like each component of the watch is separated out on the dial. It's absolutely fascinating to look at the design of the watch.
It's a beautiful watch to see by yourself. Exactly. I think there is no picture, no internet can really give you the experience. What I love with the skeleton, and I think the blast is really this executive skeleton connection, like supercharged, is that you don't really know what is inside and what is outside. It's kind of confusing, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because you really, really, really have a fantastic movement. You see it's alive, you see it moving, you know, but there is so much space in it. So it's a real skeleton for this reason. And the blast has this amazing also feature that you have this kind of double X on the back of the watch, on the front of the watch, which is like giving this super edgy design. And somehow in the middle, like in a hamburger, you have all the movements, these 137 components, the 25 jewels are in between these two axes to build the movement. So inside, outside, you don't really know.
It's spectacular to look at. I'll leave a link in the show notes here. One of the questions I had to ask was the connection that you have with the Americas in particular, and why it's an important territory for Ulysse Nardin.
Oh, thank you, Sam. It's a great question. So it takes a French guy with a strong French accent to answer a question about UN and the USA. We know we've been supplying merchant vessels, admiralties all over the world in the 19th century. And funny enough, we started pretty late in the USA. So in 1905, it's Roosevelt's government. They want to equip the US Navy with the best possible navigation equipment. And Ulysse Nardin has been selected after a concours with many other brands, including American companies. Ulysse Nardin has been selected in 1905 to equip US torpedo boats and US submarines. And it started, in fact, a partnership, like an official supplier of the US Navy. It's a beautiful story for Ulysse Nardin because it makes us very proud, especially my American team or my American partners, to have this connection. And the interesting story, and how we revealed it in a way, is when in 2018, after I met with the Secretary of the Navy in Washington, D.C., we've been invited to partner with the Medal of Honor convention in Annapolis at the Naval Academy. And I had the amazing honor during this convention, celebrating American heroes of the US Navy, to introduce this story of Ulysse Nardin partnering with the US Navy in 1905, and also to launch a watch called the Marine Torpiller Military Semper Fortis, which is, I think, all sold out. I think we have 2 or 3 or 5, maybe in the country somewhere, which is celebrating our partnership with the US Navy And the watch is a 44 millimeter replica of a 64 millimeter pocket watch we have designed for the Navy on request of the US Navy. So I think that's an amazing story. And that's why we have all these collaborations we discussed together with One More Wave, the Navy SEALs, and other partnerships we want to have in the USA, as we are a Swiss company, but with a US history.
That's absolutely fascinating. Thank you for that.
Thank you again for the opportunity. We are a secret well kept, and you help us sharing the secrets with your people. So it's very nice from you.
You're very welcome, and thank you so much, FX, for joining us on this week's episode of Casual Watch Talk. Well, guys, I hope you found that interesting. To find out more about Ulysse Nardin, head over to their website. You will not be disappointed. There's some spectacular watches on there if you're not familiar with the brand. Join me next week, where Chris will be back on for episode 41 of Casual Watch Talk. As always, we appreciate you listening. See you next time.